Hey, I'm Becca with the Happy Ever Crafter, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to make these 3 adorable pink and red Christmas ornaments for your tree. I say pink and red, they obviously don't all have to be pink and red. Choose whatever colors you want, but let's just jump right into it. Okay, so for tools, I'm gonna be using Posca paint pens simply because this is the paint pen that I have the most colors in. So I've got some bigger ones, some medium ones, a small one. You can use absolutely whatever paint pen you have, or even just a brush and acrylic paint if you don't have paint pens. I have a piece of graph paper. It doesn't have to be graph paper, it could be whatever paper you have. I have my acrylic ornaments. These are just from Amazon. You can use whatever ornaments you have. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trace my ornaments onto my graph paper, trying to get them like fairly straight just so that this is as good of a template as possible. And the nice thing about acrylic ornaments is that we can do our design on paper and then transfer it right onto our ornaments. So the first one, I think I'm just gonna do some stripes on the background, and I'm gonna write maybe merry and bright or something in the middle. So I'm just gonna sketch in the words merry and bright, and merry and bright. Okay, I actually really like the look of that. Really simple, not fancy writing, just like little and cute, you know, that's all I'm going for. So I'm gonna do stripes on the back of this one. You could sketch those in if you wanna be really perfect, like you could use these lines at the back, but I think I actually kind of like them when they're not super straight, so I'm gonna leave it. The next one, I think I'm gonna do like a cute little frame, like a little circle here with some scalloping. Okay, I like that. I'm gonna paint the background red, I think. I'm gonna make this pink. And then I'll probably write the year in the middle for this one. Now, I like to make my sketches, I mean, you can make them sketchy if you want, or you can make them as perfect as you want so that you can trace them right through onto your ornament exactly how you did them in your sketch. So if you want to try and get these as close to what you want as possible, that works the best. I actually don't like the way I did that. I'm going to be a little more careful here. There we go. Okay, smaller in the middle like that. Then the last one, I think I want to do some kind of like, I'm really into ribbons right now. That's like feeling very trendy for me this year for Christmas. So I think I'm going to draw a ribbon onto this one. Kind of something like this. Again, you can be as particular with the drawing as you want, or you can just kind of sketch it in and let the markers do their thing. And then I think I'm just gonna do like a squiggly line around the outside. And I think this one I'll paint the background white and then do this in red or pink. We'll see. So there's my 3 designs. Now it's really, really simple to take your ornament, put it over top, and we're going to do the front first so that we can trace, and then we'll paint the backs afterwards. So for my merry and bright, I'm gonna take my little tiny Posca marker and I'm gonna trace that through. Before you do anything with Posca markers, I should know better. You gotta shake them. And you want a surface of some kind that you can get it running and make sure that it's nice and opaque. All right, that'll be better. Again, I'm trying to make this look whimsical, this writing, so I'm trying to actually go fast on purpose. There we go, that's pretty cute. Although it looks a little bit like it didn't run perfectly here on the I, G. So touch it up till you're happy with it. And the nice thing about Posca is you can easily erase that. You could use Windex, or even just while it's wet, you can wipe it off with a wet paper towel. And even when it's dry, Posca will chip off if you scratch at it hard enough. So if you're worried about this being really durable, then maybe use a different paint pen, like an oil-based paint pen, or at the end we can spray it with a clear sealant. For me, I'm not too worried about it getting scratched because it's just going to be hung up on the tree. It's not like people are going to be taking it and scratching at it, so I'm going to leave it like that. So I'm going to set that one aside to dry, and I'm going to move on to my second one, which is going to have the pink scalloping. So I'm going to do that first. Get my circle in there. And I'm purposely making this not super perfect because I think with these kind of designs, the more like whimsical and doodly they are, is actually better. Okay, super easy. I think maybe I'll put a little dot as well. And then I will use my white again to put in the year. Okay, so there's the first step of my second ornament. And right now it looks a little lame, but you're gonna see the greatness of this one afterwards. Okay. As soon as I put my ornament on there, I'm realizing this sketch is a little big, so I'm gonna have to go to the inside of this sketch, but that's okay. So I'm gonna draw my center of my bow. Okay, there's my bow. Now I'll do my little squigglies. The beauty of this one is that it's imperfect, so don't stress about it too much. There we go, there's step one of my bow design. And I'm just kind of adding a little more paint in spots that looked a little see-through. I think my bow needs to be a bit heavier. There we go. Okay, there is my first step of my bow design. So now I'm going to let these completely dry. I want them to be really, really dry before I try and turn them over and do the backs. So I will leave this for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. We'll see how much patience I have, and then I'll come back and do the backs. Okay, I'll be honest, my patience level was not very high, but I'm gonna start with the first one that I did because this one should be pretty dry by now. And for this one, I'm using my red and my pink, and I'm gonna do stripes on it. So I'm going to start on the side and just work my way across. And like I said, I don't actually really care too much if these are super straight. I think they look cute when they're not. So I'm gonna do my best, but I'm okay if they're not all straight, if they're not all the exact same width. So start with that. And then I'm gonna skip one for where my red's gonna go. And again, for this, you wanna make sure that your marker is running really well, giving you good coverage. You can even like use your little dabbing surface to make kind of a puddle so that it's running extra well. Yeah, I need to make myself a puddle. There we go. This design is just like so simple. But if you've been following me, you might have seen that this year I just am feeling like obsessed with pink and red together for Christmas specifically. I just think they look so cute. Okay, I made that one a lot wider than the rest. And I feel like that's gonna bug me a little bit. So I'm gonna let these colors dry. Then I'm gonna come back with my red, but before I do, once this is dry, I'm gonna chip off a little bit of the side of that pink one. You don't wanna do that while it's wet because it'll smear, but if you wait till it's dry, you can kind of like clearly chip it off and you'll see what I mean. So I'll leave that one. I'm gonna move on to this one and I'm gonna paint the back of it with my red. I'll use my biggest red. I find that if you use the biggest size tip you can, the less streaky it'll be. And streaks are fine because it's, you know, a handmade product. But if you can get the least streaks possible, why wouldn't you? So I'm just painting up to the edge of my circle. And we'll see if I like this design. I'm on the fence about this one. But you don't know till you try, right? So let's see. There we go. So cute. Okay, I do like it. I do. My only critique on this one, and I don't know if you can see it in the videos, you can kind of see the red, like I went too far over the circle. So I'm gonna let it dry and I'm gonna chip out a little bit of it. I also think I probably could have just done red around the scallops, so maybe I'll chip that out too. We'll see how much energy I have. But either way, that's really cute. Okay, so letting that one dry. Now this one, I'm gonna do white on the entire thing. So I'll grab my white Posca, get myself a good puddle. And it's okay, by the way, if this looks streaky. A, it's a handmade product, but B, when you turn it around, it looks good. But I have one more step I want to do on this. I just have to wait. I have to actually wait until this is dry this time. Okay, while that other one's drying, I'm going to finish my Merry and Bright. And as I said, I'm going to use that same technique to make this last line a little thinner. And this one's actually dry, so you can see how when I just use my nail, it actually scrapes off in a really satisfying way. Perfect. Okay, so now I will use my red. This red is kind of exploding. I'm getting paint all over my hands, but that is the life of an artist, I guess. I could also use my bigger tip red one for this, but I want to be sort of precise where the red meets the pink, and I feel like my big red marker might overlap it a little too much and make it messy. So I'm doing it with the smaller one. I just overlapped my red on my pink a little at the bottom there, and it's really not a big deal because whatever is at the front of the ornament will be, like whatever's on the first layer will show through on the front. So you'll see the pink in that spot either way. Okay, moment of truth. Let's look at the front. Look how cute. Isn't that adorable? I love this design so much. Okay, I'm gonna let that fully dry before I add a ribbon to it. And now back to this one. Do I carve out all the little scallops? I think I have to, right? Okay, it's gonna be hard to do that because I'm not really able to see where they are through this paint, but we're gonna just do it carefully and hope we don't regret it. So I think my strategy is gonna be to maybe carve out a little too much, and then I can go back and fill it in with any of the spots that I've carved out too much, just because I can't really see the scallops that well. Are these called scallops, or am I just making that up? Like if I say scallops, it makes it sound like I'm talking about seafood. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of fast forward as I carve all of this out, and then I'll show you how I fill it in again. Quick side note that if you're having trouble carving, like if your paint is really sticking on there, which is a good thing, you can add a little bit of Windex to the tip of your finger. You could also use a Q-tip. I just don't happen to have any Q-tips with me right now, but that would be helpful in this instance. And if you're using oil paint, you might have a harder time doing this. So in retrospect, you should not purposely put paint on that you know you're going to carve out. You can just draw straight up what you want without the intention to erase any of it. Okay, the stuff I wanted to carve out is out. I think it's going to look really cute like this. And now I'm just going to go in and kind of like perfect coloring in those edges. Need to be careful with this pen because it's exploding a little bit. But when you do this, if you're touching wet Posca to dry Posca, you want to make sure that your wet Posca is like really, really juicy and you're just kind of like touching it. You're not rubbing off the stuff underneath because it will kind of chip really annoyingly if you do that. So just like really making sure that that Posca is going, and I'm not putting much pressure on it as I add color to the back here. There we go. Look how cute. I really like it better carved out like that. Okay, now back to my last one, my ribbon one that was drying. I want to put a little pink on the front of this. I feel like all of these ornaments have pink and red. This one needs both as well. So I'm going to add some tiny little pink dots along my ribbon. This is why I wanted to make sure that it was totally dry, because if I added these on while it was wet, they would kind of like blend. And then I think I'm going to put a little on the actual ribbon too. Just a little outline in pink. There. It's so cute. Okay. Last step is going to be adding ribbons, but before I do that, I'm really truly gonna let this fully dry. Okay, the last step is to add my ribbon to it. I have this really simple ribbon from Michaels, so I've just cut myself a piece, and you can tie them in a bow or you can just tie them in a knot. I'm not the world's best bow tire. I feel like that's a skill that I need to learn because I know there's ways to do really pretty bows. For these ones, I'm just gonna put them in a knot. So I feel like the ribbon speaks for itself. It doesn't need to be super fancy. Give it a nice bow or a nice knot, and then I'm gonna cut them on an angle. And there we have it. Ornament number one. I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. Okay, and there you have it, your 3 finished, really cute acrylic ornaments for your tree. Again, if you're really concerned with them, you could spray them with a clear acrylic sealant. You can get those at any craft store, but for me, these are totally finished and done. I'm happy with them. I'm gonna hang them on my tree, and I am just like super obsessed. So that's it for this video. I'm gonna link you to another one next that I think you might like, and I'll see you over there.